Gurube Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Gurube
Namo Buddhaya
Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Gurube Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Lord Gunje Dugani Raga Chaza Ponde Chazani Chöje Jawo Kunje Lozandra Sedan Jewa Nender Shezo Denje Namaga Sendre Bedede Jeze Lama Jeve Zungaje Nalo Debe Sonamaje Jonde Tema Jeje Kejar Yozo Jeje Jungun Jarve Lord Kesan Nave Jenjur Leje Rabe Benje Laime Devego Tonde Dembe Dende La Jaze Ye Onjoyo Nazo Medoda Jejende Bu Nayaze Jejazo Mojame Yede Joy Jenjazo Soya Namajenjo Jelan Jobabu Kaya Jedo Me Dene Zabayi Lengaye Mege Jeje Jaya Bardomba Sumeje Meyantensho Nye Nenjoba Jaya Buzo Zosha Nye Medunder Maya Dudrolazo Jeje Mami Tenjo De Yanje Goyen Boy Jeje Laya Jenze Daya Jasa Daya Beye Rango Jeze Lama Daya Baje Namaje Chögu Kala Jenze Jenjene Jaya Daya Zambi De Jenze Bala Zaveje Chöje Char Wai Wado Nama yada vizir ye ne java ye son jogola jaya jaya me na ya taya mar na ngo zuya gu ra ne se de bar do men de bar ju na ya zo ye je ne sa ye be ge wo de dan ro wo ge la ga be da xie ya bar je lo san zha ba ye dian bie nian bo ren du zhe xie you me me zhe wei de jie zhen zhe 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 me jian bie wa wo jian bie yang hong ma le yong zhe zang wei da ga jian ge wei zhe jie zong ga wa lo zang zha bie xia la zo wa de me zhe wei de jie jie zhe me jian bie wang bo jian bie yang hong ma le yong zhe zang wei da ga jian ge wei zu ye jie zong ga wa lo zang zha bie xia ya la zo wa de me zhe wei de jie jie zhe zhe me jian bie wang bo jian bie de hong ma le yong zhe zang wei da ga jian ge wei zu jie zong ga wa lo zang zha bie xia ya la zo wa de ba yan dian za wei la ma ren bo ji da zo jie wo bie me dian xie la ga jian jian bu go ne jie zong de go zong de jie wo zhe zhe do so ba yan dian za wei la ya ma ren bo ji na ya zo nian ga bie me dian xie la ga zhen jian bu go ne jie sha ya da de mo nge zhe zhe do so ba yan dian za wei la ma ren bo ji na zo jie wo bie me dian xie la ga jian jian bu go ne jie zong de jia yan qiu nian bu bar ya du dian bar yu ma sa Yo me shera parushin marje manga lama gengo nye so so ran ye she jo ye de samen ja ve yama la ja ze lo de ya da ga de pa ra ga de pa ra sam ga bo ya je she wa dang mian de ne bie jian dang zhe wa dang teng ba ji ji pen sum co ji ni zha xi de jiang ding de le shou so ji be ji zhe ji me lo zhang ri rao li ji nian de nian bang de san jie xian do me de bu hua yin zhu pen nang da xin la zhe ba xiu Guru Rana Mindrana Kana Yada Yami Chonamala Changju Bardu Danu Jagu Je Dage Chinsu Lola Benje Sanji Lobara Jo Sanji Shada Goye Shada Dagi Chujurun Jiben Sonam Jen Roba Sanjen Roba Sanjen Jeda Boje Sonam Chanjo Pado Dani Janzo Je Dagi Chujurun Jiben Sonam Rola Benje Sanjen Roba Rajo Kange Edo Denye Sone Dawa Dange Bange Sere Kange Chune Pondebe Kodam de la jade lo. O tenya teni payuji penrup chenpo panten dawe xele. Kondop teni xiaoyang kabu jejirwa ngangbe jebu teni jiu ngangbayi. Dundu tani gewe longi shokdupji jawe yonde jadu paru chodan rosen ta. Shokde rabdi jekbe ngangbe jebu. 아니 쇼베 랍니레 때네 랑게 드베 요두 로바 대신도 애네 나라도 비게지 류진 군자 공도 장죽 짓습니다. 동담배 장죽 짓습 샤야 때네 예시지 초다 말에 손음지 초다 예시지 초기 아니 딱 죽번다 보니 텔레 때네 애니 비게지 ya karsorta khoben tamle ya drugba embrace
as Khensur Rinpoche has quoted a stanza from the works of great Indian Buddhist realized master scholar Arya Chandrakirti, which basically states that just as a bird needs two powerful wings to be able to soar into the sky and enjoy flight in the space, in the same way, those of us who seek spiritual enlightenment, we must also cultivate and use the two powerful wings of conventional bodhicitta and the ultimate bodhicitta. So by way of cultivating these two altruistic states of mind, we call bodhicitta, conventional altruism and ultimate altruism within our mind stream, that we will be able to soar into the space of enlightenment and we can fly to our spiritual destination. And so basically what they really tells us from another perspective is for any of us to reach our spiritual destination, we must accumulate two types of collection of merit, we call sonam, punya, and collection of wisdom or insight, we call the yishe. So we have to be able to fulfill these two types of collection in order to be able to reach our spiritual destination.
Oh, there are any piggy, Drubaki piggy, Shibalata to Dundabuchi, send you the case and Bushita. Says Uncle Chanjuk Sim in the container. Pontam Chanjuk Sim in the container. Tell them better than solemn sourcing in the container. Is he sourcing in the container? Tini Galactic of the Karikari or Sabina. And that go to Chanjuk Sim Teta, Karasurata. Mother Simji Titai by numbers of Simji Titarava, what tell Shambata and Yinji, the point of Chanjuk Sim to the top the Chakai in Batala. That's one of the source of yours. And it come the Tontam Chanjuk Simji Seati, come the Tontam Chanjuk Simji Seati, Tony Mosum Topalaya, Joko, we are a Jeda any PH. Sharp the Soji Charakuvala, Tony Motum to talk by Chabgi or Maradina, Tadati Tontam Changu said that Tony Motum to talk with Joko, we are Sharp the Chakai in Batalatane. Ye so cigarettes.
So that stanza quote from great Indian master Chandakirti brings our attention to the two types of bodhicitta, conventional bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. Of course, some of the important questions that we should be asking and try to answer those questions is what is conventional bodhicitta and what is ultimate bodhicitta? Yeah. In what ways collection of merit or punya is related to conventional bodhicitta, and in what ways collection of wisdom is related to ultimate bodhicitta. So these are some of the important questions that we should be asking ourselves and try to find answers to these questions. Now, trying to simplify this matter, if I could, is that when we study about and cultivate, for example, love, compassion, altruism within our state of mind, these are what we consider as accumulating merit or positive energy. Yeah. And so the collection of merit or positive energy is very much to do with cultivating these positive attitudes within our own mind stream. And sometimes in the Buddhist literature, we refer to this as a skillful means or upaya, thap in Tibetan. On the other hand, ultimate bodhicitta, it really refers to direct insight into emptiness or shunyata or sunyata, the ultimate nature of phenomena. Yeah. And by way of studying and cultivating this direct insight into emptiness, we are also generating a lot of what we call wisdom, and we are deepening our wisdom. Of course, for the collection of wisdom, it doesn't have to be only wisdom realizing emptiness, because there are other types of insight wisdom. But in this particular case, when we talk about ultimate bodhicitta, we are really referring it to a direct realization of emptiness or shunyata.
Oya ta che ta ini che kong de hyo dan king nga do ya che ko yen dam le ya do ba la so tu ni me ti no ta ko ni lag ji do ko ya sa na tan so nang ge so ge lag ji ro ti ya che 소사 검 낙진으로 가리야서는 따지 수글 낙진 쪽지 그 톡으로 가서 나도 단다 그 톡삼 지하진으로 같이 열어 그 수글 낙진 쪽이 왔다 시럽지 그렇다 이시기 속이 낙진 잡을 때 수글 낙진 쪽이 와래 수구 될래야 현동 수구 롱구도 두구니 다 수구 될래야 아니 그게 이시 주고도 오니 그 센터 끝이 단위 전지 산제디야 로바 제발라다 손일 때는 로고바 디레스.
So if we kind of basically define conventional bodhicitta as an altruistic state of mind that arises from great love and compassion, seeking enlightenment for the sake of everybody else, all sentient beings, and ultimate bodhicitta as direct realization or insight into emptiness, then the next really logically the question is why should we cultivate these two types of bodhicitta? What would be their impact if we cultivate them, or the outcomes, if you will? And so as we cultivate conventional bodhicitta, which is a process that involves cultivating many other positive states of mind, as I just said, like great love, great compassion, which is Mahametri, Mahakaruna, ultimately leading to bodhicitta. We are accumulating what we call collection of merit, positive energy or punya, and that really eventually leads us to accomplish what we call enlightened form body, rupakaya. Okay, enlightened form body would be the outcome or the legacy of fulfilling the collection of merit. Yeah. Now, by way of cultivating insight into emptiness or cultivating ultimate bodhicitta, if you will, eventually we will be able to accomplish what we call truth body or dharmakaya. So these are what we call buddhakayas, or for lack of better words in English, called enlightened bodies. Now again, rupakaya, enlightened form body, is not just one kind. Within this we usually talk about two types of enlightened form bodies. One is what we call nirmanakaya or emanation body, and the other is called sambhogakaya or complete resource body or complete enjoyment body. Both these enlightened bodies are what we call other-oriented bodies. Means we accomplish them more for the benefit of others, because through these bodies we can work with others and benefit them. Now the truth body again is not just one kind. It consists of at least, we usually talk about two truth bodies. One is natural truth body, savabhavika, and one is the wisdom truth body or jnana dharmakaya. Yeah? So these truth bodies are really what we might call as more more for one's own sake, because these truth bodies, through these bodies we cannot directly benefit other sentient beings. So to summarize, what I'm trying to make here is we as spiritual practitioners, our aspiration is we want to accomplish what we call enlightened bodies. Okay? And enlightened bodies broadly consist of two, form body and truth body. And within each of them we find two other bodies, just as we say complete resource body and emanation body for the form bodies, and wisdom truth body and natural truth body for dharmakaya.
대한 아니 비게지 교환디 지고 소노미시 소사도 소노미시 레주메 담박군이 톱으로 효세야 됐다 뭐는 보지 답대서 잡을때 딘데시리스.
So as we often say in our dedication prayer, that may I be able to accumulate the two types of collection, and by the power of the collection of merit and wisdom, may I be able to attain the two ultimate, what we call kind of a bodies, so referring to form body and the truth body. So that's how sometimes we also dedicate our merit to accomplish the enlightened bodies.
다 뒤니기 나네 즉 소놈기 초대 희기 초 뒤니 나네 야즉 또변 잡지 셰비나 다 이시지 소디 때 때스는 또 쳐야 요레스 간이서나 NPG 산죽지 셈다 잠년지 간대지기 NPG 상부지급이 이나양 거वे년부 지투교 말레스 딱 거वे년부 그게 지금 통계에도 쓰라서는 다 이시기 소디 조국 요레스.
Now, if you ask the next question, okay, I get it. So I need to accumulate two types of collection of merit, collection of insight of wisdom. But which of these two is more important? Just tell me. Is there a difference in terms of importance? Well, in terms of importance, collection of wisdom or cultivating what we call ultimate bodhicitta is more important. The reason why is ultimate bodhicitta, it really counteracts the root cause of our being in samsara or cyclic existence. Yes, we know that many positive attitudes that we cultivate, such as great love, great compassion, and conversion bodhicitta, these are wonderful states of mind, but they do not have the ability or the power to be able to uproot the root cause of our being in samsara. They really don't what we call become direct antidotes to the root cause of samsara. So therefore, ultimate bodhicitta and the wisdom is more important in that context.
다니야 붙여당 그런 데서나 당한도 숙제기 비게지 도와지 TV 이나니 딱 맨매잡지 효비는 아니 슈답제 디제는 telenya 뭐 도요래 많이 배워가서 나숙답지 땀이 지금 정화 툭네 사와잡지 파비는 맨땡제 telenya 뭐 도요래 대도야티 요 말이스 다리디 간데서 나리잖아 녀보티 아니 진당 mikpa chikle mikpen dintang ngosum keba cheni ene pige chik dintang yula nuji tangde cheba mado cheke timbe nyambo tang yo mares.
So then how does wisdom become direct antidote to the root cause of samsara or cyclic existence? Okay. In a general kind of a context, when we talk about antidote, let's say if there is a fire, well, the direct antidote that is maybe the water or any other materials we use to destroy the fire, kill, right? And if we are really sick, the antidote to our sickness is take medical treatment or medicine. Yeah, so that's how it works. But when it comes to really counteracting our root cause of being in samsara, it doesn't work exactly the same way, because really the antidote has to be generated within our state of mind, and the way to do that is focusing on the same phenomenon or the focus of the object. Now we have to investigate and analyze how do we perceive a phenomenon to exist, right? The mode of our apprehension of the phenomenon. And then we have to find another way to look at the same things that, how does it really exist? How do we see it exist and how does it really exist? So by comparing and contrasting the two modes of apprehension of the same object of the phenomenon, that's the only way that wisdom really tackles or counteracts our grasping at things, and which is the root of being in samsara.
당가란데 단답해지 가라지 거기 주에 쪼운도 가르산다 머리고 로치질로기 애니피게지 좋다고 머리 무슨 일이 왔다 텔레비게지 연보단한테 머리 부티 진주티 현유메버티 피게지 또 전에 대 겁니더니 야노야 드레스.
So as we often say, the root cause of our being in samsara or cyclic existence is our basic ignorance, avidya in Sanskrit. We call marikpa in Tibetan. So what is ignorance? Well, ignorance is this fabricated state of mind we have towards realities or phenomena, where we really don't see the realities as they are. We project certain qualities on the phenomena, and then we think that's how the things exist really. Okay, so ignorance is this state of mind that fabricates the qualities, the characteristics of phenomena, and then we get stuck in our own ignorance. So it is very important for us to really have a good sense of our own ignorance, and in what way our ignorant state of mind is really perceiving and grasping at things to exist. So we have to find out the mode of the apprehension of ignorance, of its focus on the objects. Okay? And so as we do that, and then we put it under analysis, investigation, what we realize is, really there isn't anything that exists just the way our ignorance thinks it exists. And that fabricated idea or the notion of existence is called referent object. The Tibetan technical term is called Shen Yu. When we talk about different types of object, there's something called a referent object. So that referent object doesn't exist. In other words, things really don't exist just the way our ignorant mind thinks it exists. So once we know that, right, that is the truth. And then we focus our mind on that, and we cultivate our insight into that nature of phenomena. That's what we call cultivating, a wisdom of emptiness.
어 대들기 비게지 디 신유메부 또발라양 에니지 다지 망보 요래 흉르마 시벨다 각자 근내 시스체니 자방예바다 아니 비게 각장예바 자방예바 템베 찍대예바 두대예바 세니다 내시 상에 땡득체니 히토니 마 아니 따꾸니르 티 비게절다 지바 그디 녀마르제 통제 한텐데 로그레스.
So in order for us to be able to really understand what is this basic ignorance we have in relation towards all phenomena and how it really fabricates our perception of things, that's why in Buddhism we talk about the use of different types of logical reasonings. We apply all different types of reasonings to be able to understand how ignorance is really fabricating the nature of realities. For example, often we talk about what is called a 4-point analysis, for lack of better words in English. Yeah? So in this 4-point analysis, what we try to do is, first we try to precisely identify what is being negated or refuted. We call it object of negation or refutation, gakcha in Tibetan. Okay? And then we also, with that clear picture of the object of negation, then we say, okay, if things exist in that mode, right, then they have to exist either as a single entity or they have to exist as multiple entities, right? So then we try to put the next level of analysis. Yeah? And then we say, what? Well, there's only two ways to exist. Either it has to exist as a single entity phenomenon, it has to exist as multiple, different. There's no third option here. So when we put it under analysis, we don't find that phenomena either exists inherently as single entity or inherently multiple entities. Then the conclusion we draw is, well, really nothing exists just the way ignorance has been telling us all this time. We really got goofed in all this time. And so that's the analysis, and then we try to focus on that understanding that comes out of the analysis and reasoning.
대사 영원라야 아니 비게 소 자첨보 싸고야레스. 소 자첨보 싸는 마도 저기 레하부지기 비게 또 저요 말에. 정글라마 추지 저거 동갑을 전부 이나야다 자대를 비 소이다 전부 싸 아니 비게지 양라 탐제기 가르쳤다 지금 냠내 탐제기 내 뒤바 양라 뜸바 민데트 제바 싹장전에 아니 비게지 공기 아니 비게 동영모숨도 비게 세부인바레스.
So that's why when it comes to finding out how ignorance within our mind fabricates the nature of realities, and then it really biases our perceptions, and then use different logical reasonings to be able to see that fact clearly and prove it, if you will. We use what is called inferential valid cognitions. The Tibetan word is called chepak sema. There are different types of valid cognitions of brahmanas, sema. And one is what is called inferential valid cognitions, which basically is embedded in what is called sound logic and reasonings. Okay? So that's what we do. And of course, so that kind of logical reasoning is essential to understand the nature of realities. But in order to be able to do that properly, we also have to accumulate a lot of merit, positive energy. We cannot divorce the wisdom practiced from the method practice. Because if we lack enough positive energy of merit, we may not be able to succeed in our logical investigation of things. So when we look at the life stories of many great masters, how they have done that, including Manjushri Lama Tsongkhapa, we call Rinpoche sitting behind me there. He also, at a certain point in his life, he said, okay, I'm going to go into this intensive retreat for my purification practice. Okay? And he intensively engaged in the purification practice and accumulation of merit. And so as you already know that, for example, he accumulated many, times the offering of mandala offering, universe offering, and so forth. So Rinpoche has basically taught us that the 7-point practice, the 7-limb practice, the 7-branch practice, isn't it wonderful? We have all those amazing translations here. Tibetans call it Yanlak Thumba. Yeah. So which includes offering of mandala. This really 7-limb practice is what called essential practice for us to be able to have spiritual development.
다마도 tinjuki 진juk number to 비나야 공기 비게 달렌도선에 민도 제 토사 주장들 잼배주 개첨부리 손음 첨부지 매버에는 되게 이니 비게지 생년다 될 비게지 제바친이 뒤셔야 되대 꾸녀버려서 가에서는 손음 충이 쉬운데라 태dom자야 소민주로서래 손음 충중기 메터도디 동반이 있어야 한다부터 녀고 뒤께지 태dom자야 사게 말했어 태동 수업은 이제 세버리고 도버지 있으랬다 간식들 제반다부터 제 삼로 땅 벨람사티 티치 마티 이마야 제반다지 제 돈줄기 태돔 제봤던 기장 아니 비게 시베년부터 비게 로트고요 알았어.
So we, the followers of historical teacher Shakyamuni Buddha and Rinpoche, Lama Tsongkhapa, so we are trying to emulate their way of engaging in practice and study. So therefore, if our masters did that, they engage in purification practices, they engage in the accumulation of positive energy and wisdom practices, we got to do the same thing, right? We have to follow their footsteps. And as I try to make this point, that we have to always practice the method and wisdom together. We cannot separate one from the other. If we do that, we may not be able to succeed in what we practice, And we lack merit, even if we try to, let's say in the case of those who play the role of teachers, they try to teach about the Dharma things. If they are lacking merit, they may not succeed in explaining the things clearly. In the case of practitioners, if we are lacking merit, yes, we are putting a lot of efforts, no doubt. That's wonderful, but we may not succeed in really analyzing and stay on the track and try to do the right kind of analysis. So therefore, accumulating merit side by side with wisdom is so essential. As Khensur Rinpoche has again quoted a stanza, I believe, translator, is from the Aryadeva's 400 stanzas, Chatuk Shedak, that, individuals who are lacking merit, it says, they even don't have a qualm of interest in reality. Okay? They even don't care. It's just like, so what? I really don't care, this emptiness thing, really. Okay? But those who have accumulated certain merit energy and pursue the correct approach to emptiness, when they have developed what we call even meaningful doubt, okay, tesum, right? They have a doubt because there are different types of doubt. The doubt that's completely way off, and the doubt that's more tending towards the fact is a factual doubt, inclined towards the fact. So when we have that kind of a meaningful doubt inclined towards emptiness, that doubt itself is so meaningful. It is said in the stanza, it can shatter, samsara, cyclic existence. It can kind of, nudge the root of the samsara, like, hey, I'm here. You got to be careful, kind of thing. So,
that's the bullet, not me. 통주제 나 고이나 지득이 요네 매나지 남파도나 희직 배 딘데기 천년셔야지 할 레베 배 뇽뇽뇽 그래 engender 봐 따데도 벌 남파도 이메나 따 손음 전부 휴지래 some can do
So from my perspective, and I'll put this in the context of, like, say, what's the number he said? Like, we have 7 billion people in this world, and how many of people, fellow human beings, have the same kind of interest and opportunities that you have? Really, I really feel that you are very fortunate indeed, to be able to engage in the study and Dharma and listen to this kind of teaching for a long time and continuously.
我这张大的人的嘛，前年写的，讲究那门什么前年的写的，这大那么多，先什么的开始写了，但基本全部学过了，咱别的呢，别这让居民这拍进出档，现居民这对我们写了说不难的，但拍进别他出的这样的，金巴这样的，说巴这样的，都是这样的，这检查一下子。天天难呢，当然呢，他开车就这了。 别这3点钟我你别现在了个别这当10点我活动了个别天咱了里头是嘞第二个能呢你把现在这边这不得了他这心里顾着的心里顾当多出想想以及写了说个天天关呢多个别的新查了的但那点搞就把看热着呢10点我活动了别的他好像就错的吧现在活动就错的吧现在活动些呢第结果有嘞
So that with that as a prelude to my teaching this great Lamrim, Stages of the Path to Enlightenment by Lama Tsongkhapa. So I believe that of the 6 perfections or the paramitas, such as the perfection of giving or dan paramita, and the perfection of ethics or the shila paramita, and so forth, I think you have already dealt with, many of those, perfections, as well as what we call the 4 points of gathering sentient beings and helping them mature their spirituality. And so in the Lamrim context, for example, the later sections of the Lamrim really deal with cultivating what we call samadhi or concentration. And in this context, I believe you have already dealt with cultivating the 9 different states of mind to have calm abiding or mental quiescence we call shamatha, right? And so you have basically talked about the 9 mental states leading to shamatha, and the 6 powers, right, that help us to be able to progress on those 9 levels, and the 4 types of the yichi, the attitude. So those, I think, have already been done with, and and then now I think you moved into this section on special insight, vipassana. Okay, and so in this context, so I think it was left at the point where we need to talk about what are some of the necessary conditions, right? We need to assemble for cultivating special insight.
지당 이네 야다 믹스기 피게지 사딩제 된 용도 정하다 남는 시대 대본 전부 와서 장고 전부 토네 애니 피게지 센시락 토네 직토바인스 안 남는 땅배 토네 직니 숨 토바인스 사고라 되야 다 사고라서 아르다 직 녀외 살에 제비인비 나양 즉 달단 여동 숨 여동 쪽숨 세고라 가라 여동 쪽숨 라와 라
쪽숨 제라
쪽숨 라와 쪽숨 티자인 바 쪽숨 티자래야 아니 비게 람링 생 람링 게 되게 가르쳐 그랬다 티준 때라야 티제 제세야 즉 용다 즉 요래 디네 디 맞대비 티제 좁제세야 즉 차베 빠든 휴세 통신바래 디 낭대네 나도 달로 람링 첨모 라한테 람링 링보체 디 사제체 아니 배들이 남구르베 어떤데 저기 토 히토라 달로 말한도 미게 공발라 마치주 까지 장전에 직토바인
In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, so much importance is given to what we call the oral transmission blessings. We call lungjun. That means teachers who teach texts such as Lamrim, they should have received the oral transmission, lineage oral transmission from their teachers. So this has been continued from way back from Lama Tsongkhapa's time. And so I just want to simply inform you that I have received many oral transmissions of the Lamrim, okay, from many great teachers, particularly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the Nobel Peace Laureate, and so I received Lamrim, the oral transmissions of many different types of Lamrim, including the great Lamrim text, the Lama Tsongkhapa. And just based upon the great Lamrim text itself, I received many oral transmissions from him, and maybe some of you already know this, that His Holiness started to give the teaching and oral transmissions of 18 great Lamrim texts, right? It started at the Ganden monastery and the Debung back in South India, where I was at the time. So of course His Holiness didn't finish all the texts, but usually in the Tibetan tradition, we say, in the Lama Tsongkhapa tradition, we talk about 8 great Lamrim commentaries and teachings. Now this time His Holiness even added more to that. He said, I will do the 18 different Lamrim commentaries. So he started to do that, and I was also be fortunate to be in the gathering where he did that. So I have received a lot of oral transmission blessings from lineage masters to pass on to you, okay, as I teach this Lamrim.
That in the Tabji on the Lundu. 고고마트게네 차단직 톱지 잡지 연디 테는 도지 상심 부그드네 직 톱지다 직베 룽주 매버틴데 사원이네 마이 베 셀랍진지 룽주 파마체디스.
So not only did I receive, and very fortunate to receive so many oral transmission blessings Lamrim from His Holiness Dalai Lama, but I was also fortunate to have received the oral transmission blessings Lamrim from his 2 previous tutors, His Holiness, Ling Rinpoche, the previous one, and His Holiness Tichang Rinpoche, his junior tutor. So I just, I think I can confidently tell you that I have been so fortunate to receive the oral transmission blessings from these great masters. So I have something in that sense to give you, the oral transmission blessings.
What in the song? What did the song? Karsagrata? Tarimadima Shuya comes to Barbara. Ota Lungjung told the teacher. And I make a yet labresa, Lungju. Not in you, Karina, my Lungjuma Pushe any. Shoot up the toilet Cablayani. Number to give us some which was younger, son of some of the Nalni Tigi, teaching Lungju the came best in labresa. But in didn't tell any mines.
So Khensur Rinpoche is really very delighted, really, by the fact that he has been so fortunate to receive so many oral transmission blessings from many great teachers. So he's very comfortable sitting here and giving you to those transmissions. Otherwise, sometimes you could be in a very predicament. There is a story. We don't know how far it is true. One teacher or somebody said at one point, "You guys are so fortunate to be able to listen to teachings, but I have nothing really oral transmission blessing to give you, So that would be a little being in a predicament situation. You have to say that, I didn't receive what I am supposed to give you. Yeah, but in my case, meaning Khensur Rinpoche, I've been very fortunate, as I said several times, to have those blessings to kind of a transfer to you.
Number to Lamling Chenyan that in this in 2000 of Hindu Yanji, Lungu, you get the Chenyan Cheba, Mengang Chenyan Cheba, Parla in the Yanji, Top Chichungi, Chapra Hibu, race.
It is said that, when you receive teachings such as the Lamrim from teachers who have received the oral transmission blessing from the lineage masters versus those who have not received it, but they're intellectually fit to teach Lamrim, there could still be a big difference in terms of, the impact their teachings would have on the recipient's minds. Those who have received the blessing, they think as they teach, they also, pass on the blessings of those lineage masters. So that would make a big difference in terms of your spiritual development and experience.
我在这马里马龙军的皮说个这设备呢，打你了吧，西巴写的呗，我老说，但每个也不别现在那这个的忙不用给起来，他现在现在打马出紧的，西巴我不有没说这你讲我把女的都没了嘛，但把你我没兄那么嘞。我不讲让些有把他没把你搞，那说你搞买把那说没去他们去搞啦。 Kere mandu be chuja me be ripe ngoko ro so nyamna de ngara tamba ngobo la ni le ra so rang ngo tu be ngobo ne tamba ni khang to ya la so de chang kan do para de ba ni yo para de chang la so ngo la thonji ne so ne be ngobo ne thani to ngo ba ma ye no ngobo me ba ga la doma che nam la rang ge ngo tu be ngo me do na ni ten ra be la so me chang la so ngoko 대전도 대대배 뭐고 유매 니자라 양안고라 라서 니가 마이 바랑게 뭐 조방아라 라서 건나 무시레 생고도 탐제니 대답으로 자고 텐다베 제바라 자주메 바라 무시가 건나 라서 뭐 유바 당고 메바나 라서 고 바나서 테 니가라서 마이 바히 지야라서 까가네 라라양 아니가 마이 바항마라서 마이 강나니레 Kealanga Songeva Yela, Tedra Indiana, John, Metoshi, Nonani, Kocha, Yombata, Chigetu. Chido, Mesoto, Shaya, Pombola, Rango, Triveran, Namala, Ta, Kapana, Rashina, Namata, Medoshi, Ta, Medonia, Shirabachella, Hiravati, Yuran, Meba, Tayana, Zongona, Omevala, Ometawas, and Chua Namara, Meba, Topi, Hiravati, Yus, and Jembe Charo. Ranchi, Yemeni, Kawas, and Jembranduba, Telala, Zondi, and Debracha, de Pombola, Ranchi, Medonia, Mandu, Nibela, Shiravati, you, Ranchi. Mebante, Chitara, so Chebe, Sun, Jempramo, Chigela, so Takile, Kede, Tommy Chungse, you Tombra, so Chungse, you Baranjor, Medon Chung, you Mena Tomba, you Bama, Tomba, you Bakalan, Joro, she, Sung, Bebe, Medon, Bebe, Chara, near Bebe, maybe so Tongi, you Bama, you know, Jena, Dene Tongi. Then Hetonga Medonia Rankin, Tong Medona Sungela Songunju, Tamche don't do Dedana Rankin, Medon Bani Rankin, Tuba Yila. Rankin, Drew Baba Chungse, Mebana, Rankin, Tombela, Tomba Medo, she Amana, Tele, she gets our Chishi. Yan, you go to Bola Rankin, Trevor Rankin, Medonium, do Rabazon. Then you go Rankin, me, Marahim, me, into Doko, and Duko Yam don't think meba 10, Duko, Alazo, here, Alazo, Menduko, here, Yamba, near Karunga, Alazo, Mendimbanella, Miguel Tumbacana, to Choprachi, La Lavaso, Togo, Sheda, Dear Togo, Sheda, Chair, River Lao, Tedana, Lazo, Rayen. Teda Namara, Yemeva, Lazo, Yubara, Sumando, Meroma, Yembe, Yembala, Yubran Zembala. Dogbe Chere to Ribe Tongi, so Tongi, Yubango Bate, Taba, she get so Yanala, Yanaga, Lohin, she get and the Rangi, Lohin, she get and she had Meba, Yubrason, Bebe, Loti, you go Barando, Kujiras, you go Laran, Mebra, Soto, Sherab J. Lango, Sherab J. You on Gopani, she, Kindora, Meteto, what's it? 다디 파도 로가시 아래 단데 셰바 휴고야 다 될롱로 봐 셰바 휴고 인자디 그래서 그래 다 제당 NPG 제름부치 송대 하장기 NPG 잡긴 링바 할레베 딘데지 차기 아래 학벌 뒤야 아니 다른데 따외고 디바 시라기 비게 사보 남부터 센신바이나 네디 심마치 인기 셰야라 NPG 들이치 민둑스 가서 그렇다. 세가다 붙이 야구지 제투그 민둑스. 제비 인사 아니 뒤 제비인데 제 가서 그렇다. 지다 아니 페라한테 뒤 삽긴 링과 이비 주제 가려서는 제를 붙이 아니 피게 제 랑게 피게 똥이 무슨 때 노예 토네 맛 자듬나 단당 이게 다가편으로 간다 가이나 피게 노예 토네게 똥반이 무슨 돈이 노예 토네 피게 용도롭게 인데스 마 땡을 밥이야지 인데 될람상 용당 된데 지리 시에 그때 봐라 때도 깔하고 자기도.
So Khensur Rinpoche, he picked up where we left off in volume number 3 in English translation of the great treatise on the stages of path enlightenment, Lamrim Chemo. And first he started to give you the oral transmission. He began from page 189 and went over to page 190. And so after giving the oral transmission, of course, now the next thing he has to do, he has to explain what the passages he just read. And before he starts explanation, he just wants to say that Rinpoche or Lama Tsongkhapa, who is the author of this Lamrim text, he is a really very profoundly insightful master. And so sometimes it's rather difficult, even to be able to give teaching on his works. The reason is that Rinpoche, especially when it comes to elucidating emptiness, Rinpoche wrote this text what he has really experienced, right, directly. It's not like he has written the book intellectually and but based upon direct and deep, profound experiences, just like many other great Indian Buddhist masters, their works really were based upon their intellectual depth and rigor, as well as deep, profound experiences. So when we think about those things, somebody like me, although I have studied this kind of text, but then having to really comment on, illustrate Rinpoche's teaching, sometimes, it's kind of rather difficult. You have this sort of generate extra sort of level of confidence that, okay, I will be attentive, try my best to explain it. Okay.
Yeah, 진짜 이리 마다 휴비다. 그래서 그 선배 어때 중육값에 대해서 말했어. 돈담로이 주유 밀로니 군도비 말듯이 쓰기야레스. 돈담로이 주유 메세야들로 관계야 주유 많이 받은 거요 말이스. 박변냠샤 인식이 시다와 셀번 나히지게 소소주 갖다 먹기 되게 다도 그야. 저도 롱거 말이스. 대송 거요 알아스. 디인사 아니 비게지 데데데 레스젠데 다도 그람사 주쇼저직 민두스.
As great Indian Bodhisattva Mahasattva Shantideva states very clearly in his Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life, and Khensur Rinpoche quoted the stanza from his memory, which basically states that which is ultimate, Döndam, is not an object of perceptions or subjective perception, because subjective perception is a conventional phenomenon or reality. Okay. So what does that really mean? Does it mean that emptiness can never be understood, perceived, experienced? Is it beyond perception, if you will? What it really means is that emptiness cannot be explained precisely and exactly just the way someone who has directly experienced it in the state of meditative equipoise on emptiness. In other words, Aryas or the transcendental beings, when they are in the state of meditative equipoise on emptiness, the ultimate reality, they see it non-conceptually and there is no duality. So when you come out of it, if you have to really explain just the way you experience it, nobody could do it. Therefore, we say that kind of experience is beyond words, beyond thoughts, beyond expressions, But so in that sense, as I said, my difficulty is, if you have to explain just the way Lama Tsongkhapa experienced it, which he captured in his book, it would rather be hard because it's very hard to capture his experience of emptiness. Okay.
어다디 대야야 무시직 되게 가르세비다. 무시직단 대야 아니 지단 지 양 tingi nal jigni ka yimba se ni ka ma yimba se ji xie yin le ji den de yin sa ma le de ji ban na kong de ge xie yo de ne ji xian de gin de be ne bi ge ji da se ya jo re da ji chena gyong go ban da li ji ge re se ya ji je chena gyong go ban ne bi ge ji ra xian ji ji ge re se ya ji je chena gyong go bu ji ne bi ge ji ju me li ji ge re se ya da bu den de gin du mang go ji ta ji jia wa ga se ge ne bi ge ta xi ge jia wa ba ga ya ge de so da bu ji ge de ya den de ji song go dus.
So as we go through these relevant sections of the Lamrim dealing with the ultimate reality phenomena, what we really witness is that a lot of the different positions that others have taken are first stated, and then those are refuted in the process of establishing what ultimate reality or emptiness is. For example, some schools of thought or proponents assert that there is what we call production from self or self-production. Things are produced, from themselves. So then one of the refutations is, well, there is no such thing as that. And then others might say, well, things are produced in and of themselves or inherently or intrinsically. Then we have to deal with what is intrinsic existence, and there is no such thing as intrinsic production existence. And then others might say, while things are produced without causes and conditions, they are produced causelessly. Well, then you say, well, that's really not possible at all. Things need to be produced by. So that's how we witness different positions being, presented with regard to the existence and the nature of realities, and then we go through each of them and we try to refute that, any of those possibility is really not a possibility. Nothing like that exists.
Rang to rang tin to rang to tambar to thon tambar to yan thabar to se and buchi ka che ne pocha and buchi ke thuk de jo are thi na ne ranju be menje ke ani sum tam chi hi ge are to ranju be rang to hi ge are thi hi be yin ta ta to ne bu tan de de kap la ranju be ke ani pige ji rang to ba yo go res rang to ba me be yin na ani go ba me go res so they think to any page, they think to Ranchi to Bakak Bina, Chujan Kago dos. Chevinta any Charangi page, they think a Kajaka Bina, hitting a Kago, do Chevinta, then the page lender of Sobache, Chetal Lungu to us, Chene. Kisungu is race.
So that's why when you look in the Buddhist texts and literatures on ultimate reality, establishing it, and refuting different what we call types of what we call misrepresentations, the positions of that. So you come across a lot of these technical terms, such as, well, there is no intrinsic existence. Sometimes we say inherent existence. And sometimes say, well, there is no true existence. Okay. Well, there is no existence by way of their own characteristics. Right? So we use all different terms. So if you look in the Buddhist literature, at least there are kind of like 6 different terms which are used, right, to be able to talk about how things don't exist in any of those ways. Okay. So the point where we are in this text is, I think, Savatandika Madhyamikams. Remember, the middle way school has at least 2 major sub-schools. One is Prasangika Madhyamikams, and then the one is the Savatandika Madhyamikams. We call Rangkyuba. So the schools below, Savatandika Madhyamikams and the schools below, they think that there has to be intrinsic existence or inherent existence. The Tibetan word is called Rangshinjidruba. They said, what? Things exist, and they exist intrinsically. And if you refute intrinsic existence, if you say that things don't exist intrinsically, then what you are really doing is you are destroying the very notion of existence. So by doing that, you become a nihilist. That's what the Savatandika Madhyamikams are arguing. They said, what? Things exist, and we assert that things exist intrinsically. And if you refute intrinsic existence on any given phenomenon, what you are really basically doing is you are refuting the existence of that phenomenon. So you are saying nothing really exists. And that is not feasible. Why? Because law of karma exists and they produce different outcomes as a result. So we assert the law of karma exists and outcomes exist. So therefore, intrinsic existence must be accepted. So that's what the Savatandika Madhyamikans are presenting their position.
제비 인자다 런주비 텐데 숨고 여보 인자 내 가르쳐서는 시박고 뭐 유매서지 뭐 시간 거 보는 거지도 뭐 메롱하네 싫다 뭐 여시 뭐 유세야지 매세야지 뭐 가르쳐 올다 뭐 마임베 도마체로 속바 대다 그때도 애니 피게지 가르쳐 오라 라케지 드바 요레세야 한다 보티 요 마레세야 한다 보티 근데 기토네 무시지 마데네 따바 레정단이 가르쳐 온 거 알잖아 오메 흉남 냈더니 뭐뭐 암 라신치 넥비게 유바다 메바 니가라 애니 피게지 니가다 니가 마임베 무시 까그리스 다디 까그리스라 뭐뭐 감들은 뭐뭐 유 마유세야 뭐뭐도 가르잖아 각자를 하고 그래서 견두를 하고 그래서 라신치 두벌 하고 딱배 몰라 말익바 뒤 응으면 뒤만 있어라 딱배 뭐뭐 로친질로게 딱배 뭐뭐 각자 뒤 예, 매스 라헤지 좀 나가자도 요도요래. 라헤지 마두버 인상 각자도 매고요. 다 텐유였다나 라헤지 마두버 인상 각자도 란주빈도 각자도 민두. 란주빈선한테 뭐보요래. 뭐보 요세야겠다. 요 매스야 뭐보티 암세도가 돼. 제타 암 라헤지 유바탕 매바스. 라헤지 각자를 자고로 마두버 제단 비게지 이텐감로 ngô gió rồi bên ngô mẹ rồi thì gió rồi bằng là tôi ta mà chưa cho lại kita mẹ ngô kita mẹ hàng cái gì là ngô kitaอยู่ที่นั่นสิgió mà đấy các chất gì đó mẹ chínhที่gió đấy.
So the Savatandika Madhyamikans and school below, they said, you know what, things exist intrinsically or inherently, okay, in and of themselves. And so if you refute intrinsic existence of phenomenon, then you are basically refuting the existence of everything else. And that is not feasible because law of karmas exists and they produce different outcomes. Okay? So therefore, we say that things exist intrinsically. Okay? Now the Prasangika Madhyamikans are debating with them, say, you know what? No, there is no intrinsic existence. So Prasangika Madhyamikans are debating with Savatandika Madhyamikans and schools below, said, you know what? We are not really asking you, right, whether things exist or don't exist. That's not the question. Okay? We are asking you, how do things really exist? Okay? For example, in an ordinary sense, we can talk about I really don't have many things. I have few things, right? I'm kind of poor. I don't have much resources. Well, I'm kind of lucky one. I'm rich, a lot of things. So Prasangika say, we are not talking in that sense, whether things exist or not. Okay? There is a difference between existence and intrinsic existence, and we really need to differentiate between the two. That's what the Prasangikas are telling the Savatandika Madhyamikans. Okay? Because intrinsic existence is something that doesn't exist at all, and we call that the object of negation or refutation. Okay? Object of refutation. And so just as Bodhisattva Shantideva states in his Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life, and again Khensur Rinpoche quoted the stanza from his memory, where Shantideva says, in order to understand that things don't exist in a particular way, first you have to understand what is that particular way really. Okay, how our mind fabricates the nature of existence. If we don't understand that, then we are never going to understand that things don't exist in that fabricated nature. We have to get hold of that fabricated nature, right? So this is exactly what Prasangika said we are talking about here, that we are not saying whether things exist or not. We are saying, how do things exist? And you claim that things exist intrinsically, but that kind of existence is a fabrication. It is a different from the conventional existence. Okay.
제가 인상 답이게 관계 이렇게 가용도 전에 디레지 딱 가르쳐 그래. 희사 마히는 땡기도나. 땡기도나 지랑 란주벌로 그 딘데스네. 데 땡기도 봐야나. 전에 nga르템 바타르스. ngobol라 니셔 그래스. nga르템 바타르라 ngobol라 아니 피게 랑기 ngo트베 ngo보 이기 쓰기 유나니. 각자께 각자 ngo보 랑기 ngo트베 ngo보티 지랑 쓰기 유바 이나네. 딱 템바니 칸토냐 아니 요브라 너장 띠까그레스 가리네 만에 두제 요마른 두마체 요마르 관계 띵도 피게 그런 게 뭐도 병 없대 가그레스 돈지 너병 없으니까 까고야 요 말이스 돈지 너병 없네 tanyi tu ngopa mai no tongchi no sta ngoto ngopo tini bu karta na tongchi ngopa no pa ngopo tini se ya jorba o te de ares pana ko thima chenji yin be na de thima de pa tu bi na yang ko de de ha de orba to je ki thima tu ba na ki ko de nya po se de ma res na to ome na to ba ta chengri pe ya yo ba to yu ji ko thima chen de any pige melatagadis 도주지 그 토마치데 멜라타비나 토마팅질 그메 따르 대신 오세 와이스 이시 메스 바나 아니 피게 토마팅일 때 이시 페 되게 와래 대단히 아니 피게지 돈지 네병 오버테 타니도 아니 까기 말이스
So the Prasangika are telling Sevadantika Madhyamikans that when we talk about, what called things, the Tibetan term is called ngöbo. Yeah, we can talk about two types of things that don't exist at all, and things that really exist and function. We call it functional things. Yeah. So things that don't exist at all, we really can't talk about whether they exist as a product or whether they exist as a non-product. Because those things don't exist. It just makes no sense to talk about things that don't exist, but then you say, does it exist in this way or that way? Well, it doesn't exist. Okay? But whereas things which exist and function, we call it ngöbo, right? In the debate monastic text, we said, what is a functional thing? It's a thing, ngöbo. It said, well, a thing that serves certain purpose of the function is the definition. So that things exist. Okay? So functional things exist conventionally. Yeah, so nobody's refuting that. And so the example Khensur Rinpoche has given is when our clothes get dirty and smelly, what we do? We put them in laundry, right? We use detergents. So what we get out of our laundry? Well, the smells have gone, the dirts have gone, we got a clean cloth back, right? So by doing laundry, we don't, destroy our clothes together with the stains and the dirts. Okay? So that's the functional thing. That's how the functional things exist. Okay, and in the classic Buddhist texts, they even talk about a special kind of a clothing. For lack of a better word in English, it is kind of a, I think I call it a tujujuku. It is some sort of indestructible cloth, but yet it could be contaminated. So one way to clean that cloth is put it in the fire. Okay, so when you burn it, the fire will burn the contaminations, but then that indestructible cloth will come back clean, refined, if you will. So just like that. So when we apply antidotes to our delusions and contaminations in our mind, so in the process of purifying our mind of the delusions and contaminations, our mind still exists. As a matter of fact, we're able to experience the clear nature of our mind in the process. So that's why the Prasangikas are telling them, well, there are two kinds of things. Things don't exist and things exist, which function. So you got to understand and make the difference between the two. No.
loso ta yang chi la de chen ta chi ngo bu ting du ni phi ka cha di me bi na yang du ma che ngo bu me ba ni phi ge khar so ta ngo bu me ba ni phi ge du ma che nam ge rang ge ngo tu be ngo bu ni phi ngo ki ni rang ge ngo tu be ngo me tin du ge yu na ni ten ta yang ngo me tang ni ngo ge is ta tu len chap dang la tan du je ge ting do ka yin du ni phi ge tang bo de ka ge re yin ma ka yin du ba la chi tong ji chu jin ji ne ji da men den nan zhuo nam lu ji chu de kang sa ye be nam ni song xian ne da me be den zhuo nam ba zhe qi de yin zang ani de le chu de tong ji ne ji chu ji da de bu ji da ge ne kang sa ge da de be ni xia ne xie bi yin zang ti ka yin du ba la ta 지리 뒤제 등도 까야 시바이나 가르쳐 뭐보이나 가르쳐라 야만 속인 거 야만 남에도 지인 거 야만 시바인 거라 봐 어야 근데 섬기 등도 까용 거야 다이 속지 등도 까 되니 남에도 지 메다 말라 속면 남에도 지 등도 까 되니 시베 등도 까 되니 단도 마체기 등도 까고야 다 되니 콘도 송어버리데 얀도 마체베 등도 비행기도 마체베 등도 랑기 오토바이 피게 하도 지레 성기나 딜하요 말 노마치기 띵도 아니 까버리 딜 인사인데 쓰고도 안 되네 되네 ngô mẹ bà hăng mà sao ba ngô mẹ bà mà đôi mắt chết nằm là răng ngô thì bị ngô mẹ tu đôi năn nè răng ngô thì bị có ngô mẹ rồi ba đôi mắt chết ngô mẹ rồi ba hiện nay nhà ta con đôi chân mà đi đôi mắt chết ngô mẹ thì răng ngô thì bị ngô mẹ chỉ rẻ sao thế nên đôi khi bây giờ nè anh thế chẳng cả cái ngô mẹ chẳng cả cố
So in order to understand the debate that is going between Prasangika Madhyamikans and the Savatandika Madhyamikans here, I think we need to, probably it would be useful for us to bring to our mind, about how, when we talk about selflessness, right? Selflessness is of two kinds, right? There's the selflessness of a person and selflessness of phenomena. Okay. So what's the difference? Well, the difference is really in terms of the basis, right? Not so much what the selflessness is. So in terms of the basis, a person is different from phenomena. So therefore, we talk about two types of selflessness. Okay? Selflessness of a person and selflessness of phenomena. Okay? Then, there are all this debate goes about, which is easier to focus on in the beginning, things like that. And in this kind of a context, usually what we talk about is when we are establishing emptiness or refuting intrinsic existence in this particular case, we have to deal with the two sets of phenomena. They are what we call products of, or things, functional things, and then there are non-produced phenomena or non-functional things. Are you with me? So in the products, or the functional things, as we say noble, usually we talk about three types of category. Suk, forms, right? And Sheba, consciousness or perceptions. And Deminduje, which we call non-compositional factors, which are neither forms nor consciousness or perceptions. So there are three categories of functional things we usually talk about. So first we deal with how none of the functional things exist intrinsically. Just like the Savatandika Madhyamikans, other schools below assert. We go with the form, then we go with the consciousness, then we go with the non-compositional factors such as impermanence is a good example. Impermanence is a functional phenomenon which is neither form nor consciousness or perception. Are you with me? So we deal with that. So as a part of our logic, we say, well, these products, really, they are produced by their causes and conditions. If something is produced by causes and conditions, they cannot exist intrinsically, right? So we go through that, and maybe our worthy opponent said, I see your point here. But non-functional things, non-produced phenomena exist intrinsically. They're going to come along. I understand the while, because non-functional things are not produced by causes and conditions. They exist, but they are not products. Okay? So they exist intrinsically. That's how they could come back. So now we have to deal on that level. Okay, yes, you're right. These set of phenomena are not produced by causes and conditions, but that does not mean they still exist intrinsically. So we deal with another, level of intrinsic existence here. So we have to understand in all these categories of phenomena and how intrinsic existence is refuted with regard to different phenomena.
대신도 된다면 ngô 유바스나이 ngô 메바 ngô 마임반 딱 간전 두마체다 뉴제된 두마체기 니자랑 아니 피게스레 까기스 게팅도 라헤지 줘봤대.
So here the Prasangika or the Rinpoche says, what? Regardless of whatever sets of phenomena we're talking about, functional phenomena with those three categories, forms, consciousness, and non-compositional factors, and the non-produced phenomena, we usually call space as such, right? Regardless of what types of phenomena, we are saying that there is no such thing as intrinsic existence. So, we refute intrinsic existence per se, period. That's what the Prasangikas are saying in a nutshell.
네가 많이 말한 게 ngô 봐 무슨 것도 탐제 대달도 희구리 마도 저기 된다면 개발 자주 매버다 ngô 비ran 현지 주변에 개발 자야 매봐 자주 매봐 무시간 거는 ngô 요바다 ngô 가서다 매봐 송곡에 셋때 네가 많이 때 희강네 네가 많이 때 희강네 라라야 네가 많이 있으니 그러니까 네가 많이 세운데 딱 네가 인구였다 네가 많이 있으니 네가 인구 제가 때 많이 있으니까 나니 kelangos ngewa igres kelangos ngewa res tinde insa tinde we tinde chik tebinani tinde kepige tinde niga mayin chende karse warta mayina kelangos ngewa res teda ina ene chongo yo maris chende lagi inani ene pige nyobe ke res ngani minyo bateta de ene henchik du ya zoba chi men chende sungu yo res
So at the bottom of page 189, the last paragraph begins with, further, when we refute essential or intrinsic nature or self with regard to aggregate, this gives rise to wisdom consciousness thinking. Intrinsic nature or self does not exist. Okay, so this is where that passage Khensur Rinpoche has just read. So basically, what we're saying is that the point that is under consideration is whether there is such thing as intrinsic existence or not. We're not saying whether, things exist or not. We say, is there such thing as intrinsic existence? Okay? And there is no such thing as intrinsic existence with regard to the functional phenomena and with regards to the non-product phenomena. So that's why we're basically saying that we explore all these different options. How in the logical analysis we have different options. But looking through all the different options, we come to see that, intrinsic existence is not feasible in all of those options. Okay, so that's what the Pasangikas are, summarizing their point.
다 풍부 땡도 까도 발라 풍부를 가르쳐. 샤야 풍부라 랑게 ngoam ngo 드베 라해 애니 피게 남 다각바나 라해 남다 메토 냠베테니 시랍 제기라 봐. 디 록조라 봐. 풍부 땡도 때니 각자들 좀 째네. 째고 다 많이 버티 다 피게 제 시랍 디 유디 가르쳐 올다 똥반이 되니 어레스.
So then the ending, what it says, the second last paragraph on page 89, it says, if you then stubbornly insist, even so there is no fallacy, then the debate is over, and because we do not debate with the obstinate. So basically it's that, if still you exist, are they all exploring the option, you still exist, intrinsic existence exists, then you are just gone crazy. So I don't want to debate with crazy people anymore, So that's what the explanation was. And so then the next paragraph, which I read earlier, what it really tells us that when we analyze aggregates, right, skandhas, whether they exist intrinsically or not, so under the analysis, we do not find them exist intrinsically or the absence of intrinsic existence. That is finding the ultimate nature, emptiness. Okay, when we analyze that, do the aggregates exist intrinsically or not? So under the analysis, we come to realize, well, there is no such thing as intrinsic existence of aggregates, absence of that. That absence of intrinsic existence is the emptiness, and we focus on.
오시랍 뒤 유란히 메바테 대야 아니 피게 다 시랍 뒤 유티 라히 메바테 봐 라히 메바 대야 아니 피게 그 공나니 다 티페사 타레다 오메키 피게 지 따와 수인진베다 수인진바데스 오메타와 수인진바예베 초남라 라히 메바라 또비 시랍 뒤 유수인진베 치 다티 피게 지 추탐제기 아니 피게 지 추남지 라히 메바라 또비 시랍 그 유탐제 아니 피게 지
So as stated at the bottom of page 189, it says, if you also refute the lack of intrinsic nature, that is the object of that wisdom consciousness, then you are refuting the Madhyamika view or the middle way philosophy. So in other words, the fact that under the analysis we find that aggregates do not exist intrinsically. Now if we translate that into meaning, well, aggregates don't exist at all, right? We refute the real existence of aggregates, then we are refuting the object of the wisdom consciousness or the mind that perceives emptiness. So that means we are completely giving off the middle way philosophy, the mathematical viewpoint. Okay.
Oh yeah. 세상에 라히 메버 똑베 유태양 아니 피게지 순진 베인다니 아니 추담제 라히 메버 똑베 히랍기 유순진 버레스 따라히 유메 니가 순진 버도바 텔라 따디 카르서 라히 메버 이나 티동키 슈쟁기 피게데 유메고 요아레신 틴데신 피게 깨지게 된게 달라 순진 버도바 텔라테네 깨지 디티효스 깨지 니테버 자데스 풍벌라라게 요도냠든 진베 히랍기 유 아니 피게지 라히 메버테 라히 메버테 제대로 제베 순진브라 두두 캐라게자티 랍교스 랍교로 시기아레스 풍벌라라게 요 마르 라히 메버테 아니 피게지 메도냠든 히랍티기 유 라히 메버테 제대로 제네 아니 순진구요 순진스리 따지 메범라부지 따야로 지라바다 어디 가르친 딱 유스텐 시기사레스 뭐시스
대샤쇼스트린
라
대샤쇼스
알레 라
리슈제랑
알레레레레 그래 로소 샤제고 본담바고 바메 메바만 자야 산다 제레 대시 거셔 데데 멜레바 템베 몰론데 안게요 쇼
I guess we have a little bit of a miscommunication. I was said, once we finish this, we need to stop today because we have another event to go to Russia. So he thought, just do the dedication. He just did. Anyway, so basically, the point we just made is that when we put the aggregates under analysis to find out whether the aggregates exist intrinsically or not, and what we really find is the absence of intrinsic existence. That is really finding the ultimate nature of aggregates, the emptiness. Okay? That does not equal to the non-existence of aggregates at all. Right? If you still claim that is refuting the conventional existence of aggregates, then the next passage says we should ask them, okay, how does it refute the conventional existence of aggregates? We are saying that they don't exist intrinsically. Okay? So we will pick it up next time. Sorry to interrupt there. One thing I just want to mention is this month is the Sakadava month, the holiest month according to lunar calendar. And so today, I think the Vietnamese Buddhists are celebrating International Vesak Festival in Fountain Valley, Mile Square Regional Park this afternoon. So some of us, have to go there. So that's why we couldn't do question answers or anything like that. We also request you to postpone your visit to Khensur Rinpoche today because all the translators have to rush down there. And so you can ask them next time around. Okay. So thank you very much for your attention. And now we will do our usual dedication prayer, right? Have you all got this Manjushri prayer in Tibetan English? Okay. This is for our Geshe-la's, reincarnation. Remember, now we stopped doing the quick return prayers because he's already back. We just don't know who he is, yet. So now we want him, to succeed in his, again, new life and mission. So His Holiness recommended we do Manjushri, chanting the names of Manjushri, which is quite thick and long. So we try to do the short Manjushri prayer. So we will do it in Tibetan first, and then you can do it in English, and then we do the regular dedication prayers. Okay. Lama dang gombo
Jambe Yama Chazo Kangi Lodru Tumye Tundre Nyeda Namda Rasebi Jinye Dungun Chichire Zichi Nyeje Tukar Lebam Kanta Sebi Sunra Mari Minzu Dunge Nyese Rozo Kunla Pushi Tarse Yama Trujir Yangden Drutar Chedro Nyumo Nyelong Leche Chadro Drunze Jang Mari Minze Dunge Nyuko Junye Junze Radi Dunye Daja Sachi Taso Yunden Lezo Jase Tuku Jura Juda Junye Jase
Talu Muse
Jambe Yanglandu Omar
Arabazana Senden Chöje Kera Uze Je Talu Timo Mimba Rase Kada Tenju Shunlo Tok We do in English. Prostration to Guru Protector, sublime Manjushri. He who has the intuitive wisdom that disperses the clouds of the true obscuration, like the sun shedding a glorious light that is utterly pure. He who understands all meanings whatsoever, of perfect realization, from whose heart emerges the lotus holding the books of the perfection of wisdom. Those who live in samsara are the prisoners of ignorance, afflicted by the darkness of suffering. Looking after all the sentient beings with compassion, like a mother looking after her only child, you have a melodious voice of 60 tones. Roaring like a dragon, you wake people from the sleep of conflicting emotion, freeing one from the iron shackles of karma, dispelling the darkness of their ignorance. Thus you wield the sword which cuts down the shoots of suffering. Primordially pure, having reached the 10th Bodhisattva level, the perfect body of higher qualities, the foremost son of the Buddhas, adorned with 112 ornaments, major and minor physical perfections of a Buddha, I bow down to you, Manjushri. Please dispel the darkness of my mind. Om Arabhaza Nadi. I beseech you with the loving kindness of your omniscient light rays to completely dispel the dark ignorance of my mind, thus giving me the intellectual courage and intelligence to understand the teaching of the Buddha, their elucidating treatises and commentaries.
Guru Rana Mandela Kandya